Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for October 1st through 7th. This week I read one book, I watched 2 movies, I listened to 1 podcast, and I listened to 1 book. Hi, yeah, obviously, we're not in the usual location, and also, my camera is handheld because, as you might know if you watched my last few videos, the battery has gone rogue, so it's gonna die every once in a while anyway. Also, I'm filming in our car. Welcome to Myrtle, she's lovely. We are currently in a place called Black Diamond, which is a very small town in Alberta, and our friends recently just moved into their place, and there's boxes everywhere, and I didn't want to wake anybody up, and that's why I'm filming in the car today. What's also wild about being here is we were here a couple of weeks ago on the way up to the Northwest Territories, and it was cold. And today it's supposed to get to 25 degrees Celsius, which is not cold. Also, I'm battling the sun that's going to be coming around this corner this whole video, so I'm very sorry in advance for how bad this might end up looking. Actually, can I do this? Will this help? Maybe. Ha, I might have solved the problem. The book that I finished reading this week is Plan A by Deb Caletti. I've read one other book by this author, and I believe it was A Heart and a Body in the World, and it also had a road trip component, so I should have expected it with this one. All I knew is this one had to do with a girl living in Texas who found herself in a need of a certain procedure that Texas doesn't like. That means that she and her fairly new boyfriend are going up to a northern state to get this procedure done, which means that this is, in fact, an abortion road trip love story. This book is absolutely fantastic because not only does it talk about people who need abortions and how many people have abortions and how they are medical health care and how they should not be restricted like they currently are in a lot of places in the States, this is also a love story. So you have these characters getting to know each other more fully, their love blooming, all of that type of stuff, and it is a road trip story. So they're stopping at all these different places just because they're named really hilarious things or really funny things or just interesting things. And then you have road trip snacks and you have all of these things that happen while you're on a road trip, and I just absolutely loved it. I also loved it because I was reading it while on a road trip, and one of the locations they go to in the book is Dinosaur National Park, which straddles 2 states. One of them's Utah, and I can't remember what the other one is. But yesterday on this road trip, Chad and I also went to the dinosaur capital of the world and went to the Royal Tyrrell Museum, which is a huge dinosaur museum, and I hadn't been in a couple of decades, and he had never been, so I was like, we have to go. We did. It was a lot of fun. Essentially, I loved this book, and I think that it should be required reading, although I'm pretty sure that it's going to get pulled or not even put into some school libraries in the places that need it the most. This week, while we were visiting Chad's cousin and her daughter, we finally got around to watching The Little Mermaid, and I really liked it. It was a little bit long. That's totally fine because there was completely new content. I love that we gave Eric like a story and a backline and some songs. That was good, and it was fun to learn that they were by Lin-Manuel Miranda, which makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't you do that if you could? Also, I didn't know anything about the cast with the exception of people being mad about the race of the person cast as Ariel, which is just garbage. Go away with that. So I didn't know who was playing Ursula, who obviously was my favorite character, and I didn't know that Melissa McCarthy was going to smash it out of the park. I really enjoyed her performance. The other movie we just watched last night, and it was called The Lost City, and I just put it on because we got here, we just wanted to toss something on that we could be playing while we eat dinner, that type of thing. And as soon as I saw it was about a romance novelist who is captured by a treasure hunter and is rescued by her cover model, I was like, this sounds like it was made for me. And then I looked at the cast as the movie was going, and we've got Sandra Bullock, check. We've got Channing Tatum as the cover model, check. We also have Brad Pitt in there, which was like, sure, okay. And then the person that has kidnapped her is Daniel Radcliffe. Like, absolutely perfect. This was fun, it was action, it was ridiculous, and it was a really good time. So if you're a bookish person who likes seeing bookish things in your media, definitely consider this one. The podcast I listened to this week is actually still ongoing. I don't know how many more episodes are going to happen, but I listened to everything that currently exists, including the one that just came out the other day. This podcast is called Dear Hollywood, and it's done by somebody by the name of Allison Stoner. They were a child actor, and every once in a while there would be clips from different things they'd been in, and I'd be like, oh yeah! Funnily enough, I'm pretty sure Allison Stoner actually played the younger sibling of Channing Tatum in Step Up, so fun connection right there. Dear Hollywood is all about the toddler to train wreck pipeline, and just the things that child actors go through, and it's very vulnerable, it's very well researched. They spend a lot of time with other people who are child actors and their experiences and bringing all this together, and I find it absolutely fascinating. I can feel the sun getting hotter on the side of me. This is a problem. Fortunately, I just have one more thing to talk about, and I hated it, so let's go on to that. The audiobook that I listened to this week and last week, and I think a little bit the week before, because it's the book we've been listening to while we've been driving, is Killing Commendatore. This book is about 700 pages in print and about 22 hours in audio, and it did not need to be this long, my god. It is about this guy who is a portrait artist in Japan, and he finds out at the beginning of the book that his wife wants a divorce. So he goes on this little road trip, and then he ends up living on the top of this mountain in the house of a guy who is also an artist, but he's in late stages of dementia, and his son is a friend of his, so he's renting it to him, basically so he can also look after the place, because the son has to live in Tokyo for his job. He gets this commission to work on a portrait, even though he didn't want to do it anymore, but the guy's like, I'm richer than anybody, like, I'm gonna pay you really, really well, and he's like, sure, why not? And then some weird magical crap happens, and it goes from there. This book could have been shortened by at least 100 pages if you took out every time he mentioned somebody's boobs. He talked about his wife's boobs, his married girlfriend's boobs, the boobs of the 13-year-old whose portrait he was doing at one point, the boobs of his long-dead sister who died when she was 12. Like, literally, if you're a person with boobs, he probably talked about your boobs at some point in this book, and I did not need that. Additionally, this book is so repetitive. I honestly feel like parts were just copy-pasted for word count, like this was some Dickensian you get paid by the word bullshit. Like, how many times did he have to tell us that he was good at looking at people's faces and recognizing their characteristics because he's an artist? Apparently 73,000 times, because that's about how many times it happened in this book. Needless to say, I didn't like my experience. I thought this book was only 4 hours long for some reason. When I glanced at the screen when it was playing, I must have misread something somewhere, because no, it was 22 goddamn hours, and I did not need that in my life. And like I said, we've been listening to it on and off this whole road trip, and Chad only listens to things at one speed. So I suffered. We just got to the point where we were just making fun every time something like he talked about somebody's boobs, and I'd be like, why? Or the voice actor on this book said something like, my wife. He always said it a little bit like Borat, so we would just reply with, my wife. It was just... it was a fun experience because I was doing it with Chad on the road trip, but otherwise I would have turned this book off many, many, many kilometers ago. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!